climate, which strengthens
Now, this special event kicked off with an impactful open ceremony where Helen Claassen, the CEO of Climate Group, highlighted the importance of immediate action. In her speech, she stressed that 2024 has been one of the warmest years on record, and we can no longer afford to delay our action. Her message was clear. It's time for transformative change, and every decision made today will shape the future. Now, this year, the event covers 10 key themes, which features themes ranging from energy, environmental justice, finance, health, food, heavy metals, nature, policies, sustainable living, and transport. Additionally, Climate Group has released a global to-do list outlining key actions that need to be implemented over the next year to drive immediate results. Here's a video from them showcasing the to-do list.
Act. At Climate Group, we've developed a one-year to-do list, 7 ambitious actions, a role for every government and business. All are possible and deliver the speed of results we need. Let's not waste another year. Here's the plan. 1. It's time to support workers to power down coal. How much faster could we go with the right compensation? If we paid salaries for 3 years after a site shuts early and funded workers reskilling and moving costs. Not only do we need no new plants this year, but a bolder plan to replace much more coal by 2030. 2. It's time to unleash renewables. They're being held back by regulation and unambitious targets in many markets, and delayed by permitting and a lack of infrastructure elsewhere. To achieve the tripling target for 2030, we must break down these barriers this year. 3. It's time for a global ban on relining steel blast furnaces. The future is electric furnaces and green hydrogen. Stop investing now in plants that will use coal for 15 years or more. Co-investment from governments would help charge the market for green steel and hydrogen. 4. It's time to get serious on methane. We need a more powerful global agency to tackle this highly dangerous gas. By COP next year, it should audit fossil fuel companies' declarations and delivery. We now have the satellite data to stop the hiding of emissions, and this agency should be given the resources and talent to tackle the biggest leaks fast. 5. It's time to stop ignoring energy efficiency. It's doable, it's profitable. Every business should set a target to become 5% more efficient in 12 months' time by managing insulation, heating, cooling, and industrial energy. Governments should do the same for their estates and be even bolder. The G20 should set a minimum investment incentive following the lead of the US. 6. It's time to buy clean. Leaders have proved we can buy 100% EVs and renewables, buy healthier, lower carbon food for canteens, and buy lower carbon steel and concrete. From this year, these should be minimum procurement standards for every large business and state, city, and national government. 7. It's time for oil and gas profits to better support climate action. At Climate Group, we believe the G20 should agree a minimum new import tax on oil and gas. A few dollars per barrel would raise hundreds of billions of dollars to support the transition for consumers, industry, and lower income countries. 1 year, 7 actions, stretching but possible. It's time for a global to-do list to drastically cut emissions and put us on track. It's time to be confident in what we can achieve. It's time to up our game.
Now, let's take a deeper dive into the heart of the action. We are thrilled to have a panel of distinguished experts joining us live from New York City to discuss key takeaways and share their first-hand experiences of Climate Week NYC 2024. We'll also discuss with them and reflect on how the global dialogue is actually accelerating our path towards net zero. As Ms. Steen joined the call.
Yeah, she is there.
Okay. So I would like to tell my audience that we are today joined by Ms. Nicola Steen, who has been a pioneer in the carbon markets and sustainability space since 1989. Ms. Steen has worked across industries to help shape the UK's first emission trading scheme and continues to drive sustainable investments through her work with Rewired Earth. So, Ms. Steen, we would like to know, like, given your extensive experience in carbon markets and climate change, could you tell us how Climate Week has amplified the urgent need to accelerate the net zero goal?
Yes, good morning from New York and good evening in India. Thank you for inviting me. I suppose people's impressions of coming to New York Climate Week will very much depend on who they're with and what events they go to. For people who haven't been or don't know too much about it, it's a very, New York, there's a lot of people here. And obviously it's a big space, but it's like Nyman Point, it's sort of condensed Manhattan. So there's quite a lot of places to get around, but it's doable. You can go to a lot of places in a fairly short area. So everything seems to take me in London. Everything takes about 45 minutes on the tube. And on the metro here, it's usually a bit longer, but it always says it takes you about door to door, 25 minutes, 20 minutes. So things are fairly close if you take the metro. If you walk, it always seems to take quite a long while. So I think a lot of people find the events, it's tiring. There's a lot happening. So there's a main conference center, but there are lots of other main events. And for what I consider a hub might not be what other people say. I mean, Molly, you might know how many people are here. I actually don't know that. But I've been to sessions it's called the Javits Center, and they call that Climate Nest. I've been to sessions at Deloitte. I was going to go to events at Bloomberg, but different things happened, and so I didn't get to Bloomberg. There's an event at Gold's House, and this happens at many international comings together, where they have people take over, as it were, a building or an event place, and for the week they will run events during the week, and then late into the morning. So I'm sorry if I look a bit tired. I've been working hard, apart from running around New York between meetings. So I think for me, I enjoy trying to create change. I mean, I'm on the call thanks to Dr. Ram Babu, and I've known Ram for over 20 years, and we're in touch a lot. We're often trying to create new things together, including Rewired Earth, which later, if you're interested, I can tell you a bit about. But for me, I don't really mind which sessions I'm going to. I'm probably more interested in who's there, and there'll be some little nuggets that are said, perhaps, that make me reflect on something or get a new idea. Is that the sort of, do you have further questions on that, or is there an area you'd like me to talk more about, Mala?
Yes, Ms. Steen. We would also like to understand how Rewired Earth is playing its role in realizing this ambition of net zero goal?
Okay, thank you. So an initiative that I've been working with now for over a year is called Rewired. So Rewired Earth. So we're rewiring financial markets, economies, and societies for good. That's the idea. We have a small core group. We're a not-for-profit community interest company. That's what it's called in the UK. It's a particular structure, but it's a not-for-profit effectively. But we work with we call it a constellation of organizations, again, with this ethos of working together and using people's skill sets. And that actually includes FICCI, the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, the International Chambers of Commerce and Industry in the UK, Banking Association South Africa, and companies that you will have heard of, like PwC, Deloitte, KPMG, Unilever. Also, Ordnance Survey are important in this, the people who do mapping. Why have we all come together? Well, we are trying to, I'll describe the sort of the theory and then how we're doing it in practice. So, and we had a breakfast about this week. I've posted on LinkedIn if you want to see. There's a little video. It's a video I took, so it's a bit, it's not a professional video. It's just to give a flavour of the sort of discussions we're having. So what we're doing is, and Ram would have been on that actually, but he hadn't quite arrived then. He arrived later in the day, so there was a travel situation. So we are very much working with India. The idea is that we ask people, individuals, citizens, consumers, us. We ask people what they care about. And then we feed that information. I'll tell you how we do it in a minute, but we feed that information to the people who are making decisions on investment and decisions about our future, be they in business or in government or in finance. And then, for example, if I am a fund manager and I see that people in I don't know, in say Calcutta, value climate. We use the Sustainable Development Goals, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, as a sort of a proxy or a steer for those questions. And we ask people what they care about. And if I see that the people in Calcutta are concerned about, say, education and climate, if I'm a fund manager and I direct my funds towards climate and education, the thesis is, the idea is that the funds will get more business. So I'll get more business, more customers. Then I'll get capital at a cheaper rate of cost. And then the fund will do better. The bank will do better. I will do better because I'll hit my targets. I'll get a better bonus. The climate and education will do better because I'm directing funds there. And the people will do better because they will be empowered. They will have, something that they are concerned about funded. So that's the sort of the overall idea. But of course, then that's all very well, but I'm quite a practical person. I like to, I don't want to just talk about something. That's not really going to change things. And I feel we have an urgency at the moment, well, for many years, but particularly now, it's that we've got to make something happen. So what we're doing is we have an engagement strategy for, we call it rewired cities, where we engage with a community or a district or a city with this survey, asking people, using the Sustainable Development Goals as a proxy. We ask people what their top 3 concerns are. That might change, but what is your impression? Of course it's simplistic because these are high level things. This is like a way of engaging people, and in parallel we have discussions with local people, local citizens groups, local NGOs and colleges, local businesses, corporations, local organisers and government. But we feed that information then, as we said, to the corporates. But still, you know, the corporates are getting information, but how am I or you as a person knowing that that fund or the local government or the national government are doing what we say, what they say they're doing? So what we're working towards, and this is the ultimate outcome in my mind, if you're a visual person, we are getting a little kite mark, a little label. We call it, I don't know, do you use the word kite mark? The kite mark on products and services and organisations. So that in the same way as you might see that something is pesticide free or organic or fair trade or vegan, some people, you know, all these different labels. We'll have a label that shows the effect of that product, service, or organisation on the Sustainable Development Goals. And next to the very simple label, which we think, but we're collaborative, so we can't say it's going to be, it's an idea. We think it's going to be a traffic light system, but that might not work in all communities because this is, we hope, will be a global initiative. And so next to this, impact label, we will have a QR code with more information. You may know that, and maybe it's happening in India already, that the barcodes are going to be moving anyway to QR codes. That's happening. So there's able to get more information in that. And we're working with different organizations to have, we call it Rewired Air, an asset identification registry, where we're going to have, excuse me, I think in pictures, but we're going to have like a spine of data where we look at where the assets are in a supply chain, and then we hook in the different sustainable development goals, information on each goal at different stages of the supply chain. So what we're going to be having is a backbone of clear, concise, consistent, comparable data. And we're not going to be looking at 1,400 data points, not 400, not 300, but around 60. So that's for all the SDGs. So we are going to work, we've got a working group called Rewired Metrics, and people from India are sitting on that group. And we are going to be looking at the 1 to 4 data points that really affect and move the needle for each sustainable development goal. So we're not saying, you know, if you want to do 1,400 data points, fine. If you want to do 300, but there's so many different standards that, you know, people can't, in the financial markets, people can't compare like with like. They're spending a lot of money on data, which is non-comparable, we would argue. And then people, you know, normal people in the street or in the supermarket or the shop, or if you're looking to, you know, put some money in a bank, you don't know who to work with because there's too much information and it's not consistent. So we've done a proof of concept, excuse me, with Unilever has gone down looking at soy to do this asset, to do with Ordnance Survey. They're looking at where things are, and we're starting to get this spine of data. And then that information we'll be able to use to create the QR code and the impact label. So it's not something that's going to happen overnight. But there are several of us working on this who, we didn't design this idea at all, but we have come to this and we've seen when there's been nothing in the carbon markets. You know, 25 years ago, we were building carbon markets. You know, I had, you know, I was so privileged to work with a man called Michael Grubb in '89 and come across this idea. It was his idea back in '89 to cap and potentially then use markets and the differences between costs and benefits in different societies to get as much change as possible and to reach those goals. And I've seen those markets and worked in those markets and seen them grow and develop and have, of course, have challenges and not be perfect, but also move hundreds of millions of dollars to sustainable projects that help society, help the planet, help people. And so I know that we will be able to do what we're trying to do now. So I would suggest if anybody's hearing this and they find it interesting, you can follow us on Rewired on LinkedIn, Rewired Earth. I did this little post. There's lots of Rewired Earth posts. There's myself. There's 4 of us here. Our chairman, Jeff Scott. That's Jeff with a J, Jeff Scott. Rupert. We call him Ru Pierce. Rupert's Pierce. Rupert. Pierce, Pearce, Rupert Pierce, and David Marriage. Rupert's our CEO, and David is actually a partner at PwC, but he was one of the founders. He did some of the very initial thinking on this, and I just wished him well before I got on the call. He's flying back to the UK this morning, and David is like I said, one of the co-founders, and we've been working hard this week to engage different people, different players, and say, look, we're collaborative. I personally believe this is the vehicle that will move, that will make something like this happen. We're not being prescriptive, which I think is also a good thing. We have ideas, but we're not prescriptive. We're trying to work collaboratively, and we have a whole range of organisations involved. So please, reach out, and also reach out to Vicky, to Vivek, to Rambabu, to find out more so that we can work together on this. This is what I'm hoping will happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Steen, for sharing your fantastic insights. And it's heartening to see businesses are taking that crucial step towards sustainability. And we would surely follow Rewired Earth over their social media platforms to check more insights on it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, next we will hear from a voice that's quite familiar to our audience, Dr. P. Ram Babu, Chairman of Forum for Sustainable Enterprises, FSC, and Director at GC Advisory. So, as we all know, that sir he has an experience of over 40 years into this domain, has been a guiding force in the circular economy and net zero conversations throughout India and Asia. So, sir, since you are at the New York City there at the Climate Week, we are keen to hear from you about the progress that's being made in resetting the nationally determined contributions, NDCs, at Climate Week. Could you share what's being discussed and what are the key developments that's being held in that space? Over to you, sir.
Hi, Mala. Good morning from New York, and good afternoon in India. Yeah. So, welcome to the audience again, and all of you. And yeah, the question that you posed to me is quite significant. The Climate Week is running parallel to UN General Assembly session, and the Climate Week is essentially designed in such a way that the leaders, national leaders in the General Assembly session, will understand or will appreciate the urgency of achieving net zero by much before, or at least by 2050. And one needs to accelerate the climate action. And this whole acceleration requirement of climate action is followed from global stock taking of the IPCC, which was submitted at Dubai, COP28. So it very clearly said that much deeper and urgent action is required to limit the greenhouse gas emissions, and all of it has to be the NDCs, nationally determined contributions of each nation, has to be recalibrated and reset. That is what was the recommendation at the Dubai. And now all the countries are looking at redrawing the NDCs. And uh, at Climate Week, one discussion which I see as a dominant one is that there were many voluntary efforts outside the Paris Climate Agreement and the UNFCCC, and these outside efforts were looking at limiting the methane and phasing out coal, phasing out oil and gas, etc., etc. There are a number of voluntary initiatives that went by during the period between intervening period of Kyoto Protocol and Paris Climate Agreement, and they want to actually now harmonize whatever that went on in between the by the businesses in between the two protocols or the climate agreements and whatever is happening at the government level. Yeah, as you all know, the NDCs, different countries have different parameters of NDC, addressing different aspects. But there is an effort at Climate Week to harmonize all the NDCs to certain to-do list which you have presented, okay, initially. So almost all the NDCs have to address phasing out coal, phasing out oil and gas, and possibly methane. When will they do? What will they do? Etc. Etc. So they are trying to harmonize all the NDCs, and I hope the effort will actually succeed. And at Baku, possibly the discussions will continue, and there will be certain amount of uniformity in the NDCs so that it becomes more friendly to the markets rather than everybody having different kinds of nationally determined contributions. But besides that, as Nicola was saying, the Climate Week has been interesting, and there is a significant amount of financial sector and their participation in the Climate Week, because for the financial sector it looks very interesting that they need to put in trillions of dollars chasing the net zero. The estimates vary anywhere from 100 plus kind of a trillions of dollars that needed to be invested into for achieving the net zero by all the nations. So the financial sector is really, really interested, and financial sector is also looking at metrics that can guide this deployment of capital. And in this whole effort, I think Rewider is also playing and wanting to play a very, very important role. Yesterday, we had actually a dinner discussion with David Marriage also. The passion with which he has been arguing the KPIs that will drive the investments in the right direction, because trillions of dollars are going to be invested into something that mitigates the climate change. But there should be right metric to drive that investment. And there are quite a few people who are looking at right metrics. And Rewired Earth is one prominent amongst them, and they have a very revolutionary ideas, okay, and very disruptive ideas. And but at the same time, I also accept that they are nearer to right ideas. I think one needs to support that effort too. So, and as far as the how interesting Climate Week, yes, it is interesting. It is running parallel to UN General Assembly. Manhattan is choco block, so it is very difficult to go from one place to the other. Nicola has not invented, followed a right path, and she followed the public transportation, right? And if you are on a public transport, you are a little better. Now, not that it's very convenient, but you are a little better than actually going by running by taxis and all that. So it has been very difficult moving from one location to the other. But I think Nicola covered much larger breadth of events than what I have covered. I have been mostly around the Climate Pledge Summit, and since Greenco, with whom I am associated, is a very early member of Climate Pledge, and we committed to Climate Pledge. And Climate Pledge essentially is a group of individuals who want to take earlier action than others. We want to get to net zero by 2040. So we want to create the pathways and new demand for the technologies and processes and systems that will take us to net zero. So, so that's how it is, Mala. The Climate Week has been interesting. It is setting a agenda for the Baku, and possibly it will harmonize all the NDCs and really activate. We all having a harmonized international carbon market. Thank you, Mala.
Thank you, sir, for your thoughtful reflections and for shedding light on these important developments. Well, then this brings us to the end of the session. So before concluding and wrapping up, I would like to thank our team at the Forum for Sustainable Enterprises for their invaluable contributions in making this broadcast possible. Also, a special thank you to our expert panelists for their valuable insights. At the Forum for Sustainable Enterprises, we are dedicated to driving the transition to net zero 2050, the circular economy, and the UN SDGs. Since our inception, we have been a collaborative hub of businesses, governments, and thought leaders fostering partnerships that make a global impact. Now you can discover more about our platform on our website www.fsc.org.in. Before ending the session, I would like to mention this to our audience that as we embark on this journey towards sustainability and hosting such insightful broadcast ahead, we invite all our viewers to also be a part of it. We welcome partners, reporters, contributors, or anyone who is passionate about sustainability to join us in sharing stories or any form of content and make a difference along with us. So anyone who is interested can reach out to us at broadcast@fsc.org.in. I would repeat again, broadcast, BROADCAST @fsc.org.in, and they can mail us telling us how they can contribute and make a difference along. So until next time, let's work together to create a lasting change, one broadcast at a time. Until then, stay sustainable. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mala.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nicola. Thank you, Ram.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Because we have put all the efforts, we have aligned everything.